Hello everybody, this is Meenakshi De and I welcome you to a new session of Your English Trainer. In today's session, I am going to discuss noun clause and its types. By the end of this session, I hope that you would be able to identify noun clause in a sentence. Now, let's begin. What is a clause? A clause comprises a group of words which includes a subject and a finite verb. A subject is someone or something we talk about in a sentence. A finite verb agrees with the subject and shows tense. For example, Chintu says that he loves dogs. Here, clause 1 comprises the subject Chintu and the verb says. Clause 2 comprises the subject he and the verb loves. Shreyansh says that he is tall. Here, clause 1 comprises the subject Shreyansh and the verb says. Clause 2 comprises the subject he and the verb is. Types of clause. There are two types of clause: principal clause and subordinate clause. A principal clause comprises a subject, finite verb and a complete meaning. For example, he is the boy. Here, he is the subject and is the verb. The entire sentence carries a complete meaning. Next, subordinate clause comprises a subject, a finite verb and an incomplete meaning. For example, who caught the thief? Here, who is the subject and caught is the verb. The entire sentence is incomplete in meaning as it is not an interrogative sentence. Please note, subordinate clause is dependent on principal clause in order to have a complete meaning. When we read the sentence as, he is the boy who caught the thief, the entire sentence has a complete meaning. Types of subordinate or dependent clause. There are three types of subordinate clause: noun clause, adjective clause and adverb clause. In today's session, we are going to discuss the types of noun clause. What is a noun clause? A noun clause is a dependent clause that contains a subject and a verb. A noun clause functions as a noun in a sentence. Now let us look at the functions of noun in a sentence. Noun can function as the subject of the verb. For example, Meghna is a smart girl. Who is a smart girl? The answer is Meghna. Here, Meghna is the noun and it is the subject of the verb is. Noun can function as the object of a verb. For example, I ate a burger today. I ate what? The answer is burger. Here, burger is the noun and it is the object of the verb ate. Noun can function as the object of a preposition. For example, he sat on a chair. He sat on what? The answer is chair. Here, chair is a noun and it is the object of the preposition on. Noun can function as the complement of a verb of incomplete predication. Verbs of incomplete predication are the be verbs seem, appear, become, look, etc. For example, he is a teacher. Here, he is the subject, is the verb of incomplete predication, and teacher, which is a noun, is the complement of the verb of incomplete predication is. Next, noun can be in apposition to another noun. For example, yesterday I met your uncle, the doctor. Here, there are two nouns, uncle and doctor. Both these nouns refer to the same person. The second noun, doctor, is standing for the first noun, uncle. So, the second noun is said to be in apposition to the first noun. Introductory words of noun clause. Noun clauses often begin with pronouns such as that, which, who, whom, whose, what, whoever, whomever, whatsoever, etc. For example, he believed that he would win the match. That he would win the match is the noun clause. I don't believe what you say. What you say is the noun clause. I know whose book is this. Whose book is this is the noun clause. I know who did it. Who did it is the noun clause. I know whom he meant. Whom he meant is the noun clause. You can invite whoever you want. Whoever you want is the noun clause. Noun clauses can also begin with subordinating conjunctions such as how, if, when, where, whether, why, etc. For example, ask him why he is upset. Why he is upset is the noun clause. Tell me how to do this work. How to do this work is the noun clause. I don't know where he lives. Where he lives is the noun clause. I don't know whether he will come. Whether he will come is the noun clause. Noun clause as the subject of the verb. In order to identify a noun clause as the subject of a verb, we have to ask what to the verb in the principal clause. For example, what Dia said made her friends cry. Here, there are two clauses. The first clause ends after the first verb said and the second clause starts from the second verb made. Now, what Dia said is a subordinate clause as it does not have a complete meaning. Next, made her friends cry is a principal clause. Now you would ask, where is the subject of the principal clause? Let me tell you. The subject in the principal clause is hidden from view. You have to consider the subject to be it. When you read the sentence as it made her friends cry, the sentence will seem complete in meaning. Next, in order to identify the noun clause, you have to ask the question what to the verb made in the principal clause. What made her friends cry? The answer is what Dia said. What Dia said is the noun clause and it acts as the subject of the verb made. In the next example, what Meghna wrote surprised her family. The first clause is what Meghna wrote and the second clause is surprised her family. What Meghna wrote is the subordinate clause as it does not have a complete meaning. Surprised her family is the principal clause. Here too we have to consider it as the subject of the principal clause. It surprised her family. Now the principal clause is complete in meaning. In order to find the noun clause, we have to ask what to the verb surprised in the principal clause. What surprised her family? The answer is what Meghna wrote. Here, what Meghna wrote is the noun clause which acts as the subject of the verb surprised. Please note, noun clause as the subject of a verb always comes before the verb in the principal clause. Noun clause as the object of the verb. In order to identify a noun clause as the direct object of a verb, we have to ask what to the verb in the principal clause. For example, Barbie didn't realize that the directions were wrong. Here, Barbie didn't realize is the principal clause. That the directions were wrong is the subordinate clause. When we ask the question, Barbie didn't realize what? The answer is that the directions were wrong. Here, that the directions were wrong is noun clause as the object of the verb realize. Next, Popeye didn't know why the stove wasn't working. Here, Popeye didn't know is the principal clause. Why the stove wasn't working is the subordinate clause. Popeye did not know what. The answer is why the stove wasn't working. Here, why the stove wasn't working is the noun clause functioning as the object of the verb know. Please note, noun clause as the direct object of a verb always follows the verb in the principal clause. Noun clause as the object of a preposition. In order to identify noun clause as the object of a preposition, we have to ask what to the preposition in the principal clause. For example, Harry is not the best provider of what Margie needs. Here, the principal clause is Harry is not the best provider of. The subordinate clause is what Margie needs. When we ask the question, Harry is not the best provider of what? The answer is what Margie needs. Here, what Margie needs is the noun clause functioning as the object of the preposition of. Next, Josephine is not responsible for what Alex decided to do. Here, the principal clause is Josephine is not responsible for. Subordinate clause is what Alex decided to do. When we ask the question, Josephine is not responsible for what? The answer is what Alex decided to do. Here, what Alex decided to do is the noun clause functioning as the object of the preposition for. Noun clause as the complement of a verb. This clause comes after a verb of incomplete predication in the principal clause. Verbs of incomplete predication are is, am, are, was, were, will be, shall be, seem, appear, become, etc. These verbs always require a word or a group of words which are also known as complements to complete their meaning. For example, my hope was that everyone would become friends. Here, my hope was is the principal clause. That everyone would become friends is the noun clause functioning as the complement of the verb of incomplete predication was. Next, life is what we make of it. Here, life is the principal clause. What we make of it is the noun clause functioning as the complement of the verb of incomplete predication is. Noun clause as the complement of an adjective. A noun clause can also function as an adjective complement. An adjective complement completes the meaning of an adjective or adjective phrase. This clause comes after an adjective in the principal clause. For example, I am happy that he finally recovered from his illness. Here, I am happy is the principal clause. That he finally recovered from his illness is the subordinate clause. When we ask the question, I am happy about what? The answer is that he finally recovered from his illness. Here, that he finally recovered from his illness is the noun clause functioning as the complement of the adjective happy. Similarly, Grandma is worried that you might get stuck in the blizzard. Here, Grandma is worried is the principal clause. That you might get stuck in the blizzard is the subordinate clause. When we ask the question, Grandma is worried about what? The answer is that you might get stuck in the blizzard. Here, that you might get stuck in the blizzard is the noun clause functioning as the complement of the adjective worried. Noun clause in apposition to a noun or a pronoun. When a subordinate clause stands for a noun or a pronoun in the principal clause, it is said to be noun clause in apposition to that noun or pronoun. For example, your statement that you did not take the money can't be believed. Here, your statement can't be believed is the principal clause. That you did not take the money is the subordinate clause which stands for the noun statement in the principal clause. So, that you did not take the money is noun clause in apposition to the noun statement. Next, it isn't clear who has done this. Here, it isn't clear is the principal clause. Who has done this is the subordinate clause which stands for the pronoun it in the principal clause. So, who has done this is noun clause in apposition to the pronoun it. Now we come to the end of this session. Here is a practice set for you. You can write your answers in the comment box and check it with the answers given in the description box below. Also, please do not forget to like and subscribe this channel, Your English Trainer, for more lessons on English grammar. Thank you.